Good morning, everyone. My name is Chris Hallam. I'm one of the training associates here at The Edge. Today, we're going to be discussing memorized reports. So throughout this training, I'm going to say saved or memorized reports. It's essentially the same thing. What we call it here in The Edge is memorized reports. Essentially, what we're going to look at today is how you can go ahead and you can set up your reports and have them saved, as far as what types of settings you're going to want to go ahead and have checked to very quickly run these reports. With essentially one click, you can do all of your reporting. Where we're going to start, we're going to come into our main Edge reports tab on the top. And the first one we're going to look at is an activity report. Now, in the software, there is no required end of day procedure. So in my store, I had a group and saved report set up for end of day. So as a demonstration, that's kind of what I'm going to show you how you can go ahead and incorporate and set up. Any report in the software can be memorized or saved. We're going to work with activity reports. I can do it with inventory reports, customer reports, management and analytical reports. Any type of report I want, I can always navigate and memorize or save in this same exact manner. So first, I'm going to come to my activity. I'm going to come to my daily. Now, most of the folks that we have here in the class today are existing users or they've recently gone live with the software. And when you get into reporting, in the software, it's very robust as far as what you can report on. It all comes down to the criteria that you select, meaning the checkboxes and what data you want the Edge to go out and look for. And that's what we talk about when we set up these saved reports. First, I can select my sale date. I'm going to have this saved for today. I'm going to set this up as my end of day report for my cashing out my cash drawer. I'm going to set up, I'm going to lay it out exactly how I want it, and then I'm going to save it. If I want to choose a sold to, I can do that, a sold by, a store, a station, etc. I'm going to set up my groupings. I'm going to uncheck my date. I'm going to uncheck show details and page breaks, uncheck my colors. And essentially what this report is going to do, if I was to generate it right now, it's just going to give me my totals, my total cash taken in, my total of all my credit card types, so I can go ahead and generate my deposit. Once I have all my selections made, however you choose to lay it out, you're going to come to the button in the bottom left-hand corner that says presets. I'm going to click it. The third option from the bottom says memorize this report. I'm going to click memorize this report, and this box is going to pop up. It's going to ask me, what do I want my button text to be? The buttons are the buttons on the left-hand side here. So activity, daily, sales tax, etc. These are all buttons. What do I want this button to be called? I can name this button anything that I want, as long as it's not something that's already being used. As an example, I cannot call it daily because there's already a button that says daily. It has to be something different. So I'm going to call this end of day cash out. Below that, we have our report title. What is the title of this report? I'll call it the same thing. Now I make it matching here. All caps there and all lowercase here, but whatever. You can make them the same, make them different. You can lay this out however you choose to. Below that, there is a checkbox here. It says run report without a user interface. What the user interface is this first filtering screen. So what I'm going to do is, for this first example, I'm going to click run without a user interface, and I'll show you how that's going to operate when we go ahead and regenerate this report. Next, I have my output. If I click on my drop down, I have different options here. I have display only. What display only means, it's going to go ahead and display it on my screen. And then from there, I have the options to email it, save it as a PDF, export it and save it as a file on my computer, or print it. Right from the report, I have those options. PDF only. It's going to automatically save this as a PDF file on your computer. It's going to prompt you when you go ahead to run this report to enter in a name for this file or this PDF and the location on your computer in which you're going to store it. So if you have a folder on your computer where you store all this paperwork, you can have it set to be saved right to that folder. Next, we have display and PDF. This is going to go ahead, it's going to display the report for me to see it visually, and it's also going to automatically generate the PDF to be saved. So it's going to prompt me to choose a file name, choose a location to save it, as well as display it. The last option here is email report. Now, when I select email report, there's a button that shows up, or a drop-down box that shows up all the way in the bottom here, associates to email. From here, I can have this report automatically emailed to anyone that I select. I can choose from my drop-down, and all my associates are going to be listed here. And I can choose, by using the checkbox, who I want to receive an email of this report. In the email, it's going to be the PDF file automatically emailed to them. So if you're the manager of the store, or you're a key holder, an associate, someone that's doing the final deposit, and your manager or your owner says, you know, I want to see what the numbers are, I can save this report or memorize this report and have it set to email report, select that person or multiple people, and as soon as I click the button to generate this report, the email is automatically going to be sent to them. So it's super functional. Depending on the version of the software that you are running, and I'm pretty sure that most folks here are on a newest version, you may or may not have this option. This email reports option was set up about this time last year. Actually, it was like February last year. So for whatever reason you do not have this option, you're running an older version of the software, go ahead and get that updated, and it will be there. Very, very functional. For this first example, I'm going to do display only. Below that, we have button color. This is what allows me to go ahead and select what color I want my button to be. On the left-hand side, all of our reports are that standard kind of light blue color. If you want to differentiate your reports, you can choose whatever color you would like. I always choose orange. And I'm going to hit OK. This is what we call our Manage Reports menu that populates or pops up next. From right here, I'm going to click Save and Close. And now on my left-hand side of my screen, on the bottom here, I have my end of day cash out report in orange. Now, if I want to go ahead and run this report, I can simply click the button, and the edge is going to go out, and it's going to generate my report based on all of the settings that I selected. Next, we're going to look at a inventory report. And I'm going to do a sold report. I'm going to choose by category. And again, I'm going to come in here and I'm going to choose all of the settings and criteria that I am looking for. I'm not going to change anything on my general screen. I'm going to come to my type and status, and I'm going to change my sold date to today. I'm going to choose all of my pricing, my inventory types, etc. Once I have this all set up, I can come into my options. I'll lay out how I want my options to be, what I want to see, how I want it grouped, all of that information. Once I have this set, I can hit my presets and I can memorize this report. Now, before I do that, what I want to show everyone also, within this preset button, and something we've learned, these classes have gotten a little bit lighter as stores are getting back to business, and a lot of folks have already taken them. We had like 90 people in one of these classes previously. Today we have 8. And a lot of folks don't understand this presets. So as an example of something, when you're going through and you're setting up these reports of what information you want to see, if you miss something, as an example here, I'm looking at a sold report and I missed templates, catalog entry, full model, live model. I didn't select those. And I go ahead and I run this report. I say, okay, I generate the report, and it doesn't give me the result that I'm looking for. And I'm like, oh, you know, I forgot something. You can always come back into the same type of report. So I'm still under inventory, sold. I'm going to do by category again. This is the same type of report we just ran. I can come down to presets, most recent settings, and it's going to go ahead and populate the most recent settings from the last time I ran this report. So it shows me here that I've changed the date. So if I decide that, oh, I forgot to do my catalog entry, I have Pandora catalogs uploaded and I want to see that information as well. And I want to see items that were put on layaway on that given day as well. I can go ahead, I can generate this report, confirm that this is in fact the information that I want. So we're going to say that this shows me everything that I want. It's laid out the way I want. I'm going to come into category, presets, most recent settings. It's going to save all these or pull these all back up from the last time that I ran this report. Presets, memorize this report. I've confirmed that this is exactly the report that I want. And I'm going to call this my daily sold. In this particular case, I'm not going to check the box to run report without a user interface. So you can see how that operates. Choose my button color. I'm going to hit OK. I've done a lot of these and I already have that one saved somewhere. Just flipping around the wording here. I hit save and close. Now on the left-hand side of my screen, underneath my inventory and my sold, I have my daily sold. Now, when I go and I generate this report, when I click on the button, the first box that's going to pop up is my filtering box. This is my user interface. I did not check the box that says run without user interface, so it brings me here first. If I want to generate the report, I just hit OK. We have the option of running it with user interface or without your user interface in case you want to go ahead and tweak or change anything. We're going to say that I have this saved report, this memorized report, and I realize that there's something I want to change. Once a report is memorized, you do not have to re-memorize the report. You can run the user interface here. You can come in, you can make any changes that you want. Say now I want to not show layaway and I want to only show inventory sold for a specific date. Once I reset my filters, I'm going to come to my presets. I'm going to come to where it says set as default. I set that as the default. Now this is the default settings for this saved report. I hit OK, and it's going to generate my report. Just to kind of put a little ribbon on that activity report, when I click the button, because I have run without user interface, it just generates it. So there's different options of how you want to go ahead and lay that out. I'm going to close all those. And next we're going to come in and we're going to look at managing these reports and grouping them together. I'm going to come to my administrative menu and we're going to come to manage reports menu about halfway down. This is my reports menu. This is how I can navigate and move all my reports around. So on the very top, we have our reports. That's our top manage taskbar button. Below that, we have all the buttons on the left-hand side. These are our groups, our activity group, our customers group, our etc. If I want to create a new group, I can come to the bottom here and I can select new group. It's going to ask me for the button text. I'm going to call this May 5/7 reports. Now, again, you're going to call this end of day, whatever it is that you want to go ahead and create for this particular group. Below that, I have a checkbox here that says add run all reports button. I'm going to check that box. I'm going to choose my button color. I'm going to hit OK. And I'm going to hit save and close. Now, on the left-hand side of my screen, on the very top, I have my new group that I created, May 5/7 reports. If I want to navigate or move this group around, I can come into my Manage Reports menu and select my group. I can move it down. These buttons in the middle are going to allow you to move this group around. Down, down, down. Now I have it located below my job report, job group. I can move these around however it is that I would like. Under my administrative, again, manage reports menu, I can now take the reports that I've created. I can move it left, I can move it down, 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 move right. I can locate my other report, my daily sold. Move it left, move it left, move it down, move it down, down, move it right. Now I have my perforation here, kind of like the dots coming down, end of day cash out, below that one, sold, daily sold. Now, if I create these saved reports and there's something that I want to adjust about them or change, I can always select them, come into properties, say I want to change this name. It's going to bring me right back to where the screen where I went ahead and set up my button text, my report title, etc. So I can uncheck or check the run with user interface, however I want to navigate these reports. If I want to just change my output, I can change my output. Once I hit OK, it's going to go ahead and save that, any changes that I made. I can also come to my group. I can select properties and I can change my group name. I can disable groups of reports. What disable is going to do, it's going to make it so you do not see it on your screen. We're not deleting it. It's just going to disable it. It's kind of like making things inactive in the software. I can select disable. When I hit save and close, on the left-hand side, now my report button is gone. As a suggestion, this is something that I did. Once I knew how to do this in my store, I went in and I made a ton of memorized reports. I did them for daily, I did them for monthly, I did them quarterly, and I did them yearly. My yearly reports, I always had disabled. I had them all set up and I had them disabled because I wasn't going to look at them until the end of the year. It's something that I would run in the first week of January to see how everything ran for my year. To enable that button, you simply come back in, manage reports menu, select the group, it has a line through it, hit enable, and now it's going to show up again on the left-hand side. If I want to delete, and in the Edge software, generally speaking, we don't have a function to be able to delete a lot of things. We don't delete customer data, we don't delete associates, we don't delete item numbers, and so forth, because there's historical data there that is valuable. Here, there's no real value to your selections for your filtering for your memorized or your saved reports. I can always select any grouping that I have and hit delete, and I can go ahead and delete out that grouping or that saved report or what have you. Save and close, it's going to be gone. Now, for those of you that are working from home, your store's not open yet, maybe you're remoting in, and you want to get this stuff set up and you happen to be either a new user on a demo or in a multi-store environment, I'm going to show you something that's super functional. If I go ahead and I delete reports, I can always pull them back into my database. As another example, we are currently doing a promotion here at the Edge through Snap Retail and Drive Retail, kind of a getting back to business program to go ahead and market out to your top 100 and top 250 customers. Many of you probably received the email on it. This is just some information on it here. That being said, what we do when we roll this out here on the bottom, we are sending out a grouping of saved reports with all of the settings that we set here in the training department. So you can go ahead and just run those reports. It's going to give you your top 100, your top 250, etc. To pull in reports, administrative, manage reports menu, supervisor, and I'm going to select import memorized reports. When I do so, it's going to ask me to browse my computer for the file that I'm looking for. I can select browse, I can select the file. When I hit open, it's going to show all of my report titles, my button text, etc. I can choose all of my checkboxes of what reports I want to pull in and hit OK. Excuse me 1 second. Sorry about that. My 2-month-old daughter was crying in the background and the monitor was on, so it was coming through in my office. Don't worry, my wife is taking care of it. I can go ahead and I can choose what reports I want to go ahead and pull in. I forget if I did this already. I got thrown off there. By selecting the checkboxes. Oh, I did it already. Okay. Save and close. And now on the left-hand side of my screen, I have a button that says imported reports. Now, when I select the imported reports, it's going to show me all the ones that I pulled in. My weekly payroll, my weekly commission. These are all saved reports that I had. Now, I don't want them to say imported reports. So I can come to my administrative, manage reports menu, come down to my imported reports, properties, and I'm going to call this Chris's saved. I can add my run all reports button, change my color to orange, hit OK, save and close. Now, the reason I say the functionality here, now obviously with the getting back to business event that we are running with a lot of users, the functionality comes into place there where we can set up these reports for you, email them to you, and you can just load them in. This also works if you are a new user and you're on a demo. You can set up all of your reports and how you want them to be laid out on the demo. You're going to save that file to your computer. When you go live with your live database, you're simply going to import that file in, and all of your saved reports are going to be already set. For multi-stores, if you have 3 different locations and you want the same reports across the board, you can set them all up in one location. Set up all your filters, exactly what you want everything to be. Save that file, email that file to the 2 other locations. Have them come into the administrative menu, manage reports menu, supervisor, import. They're going to import that file, and everyone will have the same reports running across the board. So for those 2 situations, it's incredibly valuable to utilize this. If you have a grouping of reports and you want to go ahead and export them and you want to save the file on your computer, so you have a backup of it, you can always come to the supervisor button here, select export memorized reports, and it's going to go ahead and prompt you to save that onto your computer in a location. So if you ever had to pull them back in, you can do so. So export is just going to take it, save it as a file on your computer. Now, with this grouping of saved reports that I have, I have my run all button here. Now, a couple questions that have come up quite a bit. First off, if I have my saved reports, can anyone run them? If I have a group here, the only people that can run them are those associates that have permission to run those types of reports. So by that, I mean, if an associate has the permission to run activity, inventory, commission, etc. reports, and they click on the button, they will be able to run those reports. If they do not, what's going to happen is it's going to prompt them to have to enter in their credentials in order to be able to generate the report. So all the reports are password protected and permission protected. If I have a group set up and I choose a run all, when I select run all here, I bugged this out, so just bear with me. The Edge is going to go out and run, excuse me, all of the reports consecutively. I tried pulling in the same grouping twice and it kind of threw a bug out there. I had to clear the loaded reports. If an associate has permission, and I have saved reports, and the first two are activity reports for my deposit, and the next one is a inventory report for my amount sold, and the next grouping is management reports. And we'll say that the associate does not have permission to run those particular types of reports. It is going to be going through and it's going to stop the associate when it gets to that type of report. And it is going to say, you need to enter in your credentials. So even if the run all button is there, if they don't have permission to run one of those reports that's in that grouping, it is going to stop them and require them to enter in their credentials. This is a report I did a couple weeks ago and it's pretty big. Any questions on anything so far? Okay, well, this is running. I'll come back into my manage reports menu. Now, depending on how your database is set up, within this manage reports menu is where you can go ahead and work with your saved reports and so forth. It's also where you can go ahead and work with the way the layout of the groupings are within the default report settings. So for example, if I want to change my groupings around, or I want to put certain types of reports into a particular grouping and rename it, etc., I can create that group. All of these default reports can all be moved around and navigated the same way as my saved reports. There's one exception. I cannot change the name. When I come in here, I can disable this report though. Say this is a report that I don't ever want to generate and I want to make my reporting screen and buttons and groups less. Say there's certain things here that I just don't use for whatever reason. I'm just clicking through here. I can always select them. I can say customer in-store charge. I don't do in-store charge. I can select this line, I can hit disable, and it's no longer going to show up on my menu on the left-hand side. I can't totally delete it, but I can disable it and get it out of my view. So I can navigate these as well. I can move these reports around. I can select this, I can move it left, I can move it down, 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 down. Move left again, move down, move it right. Save and close. Now I have my events button underneath my grouping. So even the saved, even the default report settings, I can always navigate and move around. If you set up a bunch of saved reports and you're kind of playing around with it to learn how to do it, and you want to go ahead and you want to delete them all, I can come to my manage reports menu, supervisor. I'm going to come to reset to program defaults, enter in my credentials. It's going to go ahead and reset everything to my program defaults. As a failsafe, it's going to automatically prompt you to save them as a file on your computer. Then go ahead and save it in case I decide I do want to go back to those. Save and close, and now they're all gone. Any questions on anything there? Thank you, Ashley. Ashley said I explained it very well. It's really pretty, once you save a couple, it makes life really, really easy. And think outside the box of what you want to go ahead and save. Now, one last thing, and then I'm gonna wrap it up. If you don't wanna make a bunch of saved reports, I have a lot of users say that too. I don't wanna have to come in and save everything for daily. I just want my daily to be daily. I wanna tell my staff, just run this daily report. I can always come into my report type that's my default, or I'm sorry, my default reporting. From here, I can always just set it up however I want, come to my presets, set as default, and that's how the report's gonna be generated by default automatically. So there's gonna be things that yes, you're gonna wanna save, and things that maybe no, you don't wanna save. So there's a couple of different ways that you can go ahead and do it. I like the idea of getting all my sold reports saved. And I want them sold again by day, month, quarter, year. Things of that nature. And just name them that: daily sold, monthly sold, quarterly sold, yearly sold. But again, if you want to just make all of your reports in a certain way laid out here, you can certainly do so. Set as default. And it's going to go ahead and set it as default. I'm doing something else here, and this is a little bit more in depth, but this is going to save you a call to support. If you go ahead and you save reports and you use the same names, and you're getting a something blocking you saying, oh, you've already used that name, even though you've reset them to factory defaults. On the back end, the Edge always keeps that memory, so to speak, of what you've run previously, and they're going to show up here. So I have my sold daily still here, even though I reset it. The way to eliminate those, so you can use that same name again. Presets, load settings, show similar. And what I do here, because I've done so many of these classes, is I filter it by the date. And now I can delete these, and I can now reuse the name again. I use sold daily, so it wouldn't let me use that. Delete. Delete. This is from 5.1's class, and so forth. It's basically like clearing out your cache in your internet browsing history. Essentially works the same way. Now I can use that sold daily again. Presets button is your best friend. Any other questions? All right, so if there's no questions, I'm gonna go ahead and wrap it up. If you do have any questions, you can always email me directly or our training department. I put both emails into the chat there. If you have any questions for either myself or the training department as a whole, please go ahead and reach out to us. We're here to help you. Hopefully everyone's going to be getting back to business soon. Seems like things are going to be opening up for many of us within the next 30 days. So hopefully we get back to business as usual as quickly as possible. Again, we're here to help and support as best that we can. We're only as successful as all of you are successful. So anything that anyone needs, please just reach out to us. Thank you all for coming, and I hope everyone has a great rest of your day. Thanks.